Hi there. Now we're going to do lesson 328. I choose the second place to gain the first. Paragraph 1. What seems to be the second place is first, for all things we perceive are upside down until we listen to the voice for God. It seems that we will gain autonomy, but by our striving to be separate, and that our independence from the rest of God's creation is the way in which salvation is obtained. So let me clarify this. When we attempt to be number one, I have to be number one, take care of me, and that is how I'm going to become somebody in the world. I'm going to get to be and do and have all the things that are going to make me somebody in the world, make me a success according to the rules of the world. We are always striving to be number one, always striving to be in first place. It's this game of winning. But when we put ourselves second to God, we allow God to carry us. And in that place of aligning with God, there is only oneness. So there really is only the first place. But we have to humble ourselves enough to realize that we're second, because there is what created us. We are creating our own reality, but we're creating our own reality because the Creator gave us the opportunity to be creators as well. So in that humbleness, in that recognition of the Father, the Father, Mother, God that is holding us, and we're inside of its mind, when we humble ourselves, we get to receive all of that power. Now, not for striving to become first, but in accepting our place as the beloved, which we do have to humble ourselves, and that is actually what makes us one with God. Let me read that sentence number 2 again. So it seems that we will gain autonomy, but by our striving to be separate, and that our independence from the rest of God's creation is the way in which salvation is obtained. We're trying to be separate. We're trying to remove ourselves from oneness. So that makes two. It appears like there's separation, like there's us and others, which is why we strive to be in first place. We want to be the winners. Paragraph, still number 1, sentence number 3 here. Yet all we find is sickness, suffering, and loss and death when we attempt to do things all by ourselves, striving to be number 1. This is not what our Father wills for us, nor is there any second to His will. To join with His is but to find our own. And since our will is His, it is to Him that we must go to recognize our will. You know, our desires for happiness, for joy, for peace are only happening because God wants that for us. But when we try to do it all by ourselves, and we're striving to do it right and be the first one to achieve all of these wonderful things, we're denying that God wants us to experience those things. And our way would be more fun and would be way easier if we allowed ourselves to receive that loving, benevolent Creator that has our back, always has had our back, and wants to support us. But we have to be willing to humble ourselves enough and say, yeah, God, you lead the way because you know the way. Paragraph number 2. There is no will but yours, and I am glad that nothing I imagine contradicts what you would have me be. It is your will that it is your will that I be wholly safe, eternally at peace. And happily I share that will with you, my Father gave as part of me. When we begin to acknowledge that God only wants the best for us, God created us to experience the best that could possibly be experienced. All of our desires are impulses that come from within. Our ego co-opts it and tries to turn it into something for special gain, or we allow ourselves to be in alignment with God, and then those desires become fulfilled in a beautiful way that is for the greater good of all. Because of God's knowingness, creating us in oneness. When I succeed, you succeed. When you succeed, I succeed. And this is what makes us all one, because we operate in that space of connection, of unity. So let me read this again. This is a prayer to God. There is no will but yours. And I am glad that nothing I imagine contradicts what you would have me be. When I imagine myself as, oh, I didn't make it, or I can't achieve enough, or I'm not good enough, I'm not going to win, I'm a loser, I'm incapable, I'm better than other people. I'm so glad that none of my imaginative ideas about who I am can change what God knows is the truth of who I am. Sentence number 3, it is your will, Father, it is your will that I be wholly safe, eternally at peace. God wants us safe. Why? Because God put us in a safe place, in its mind. Wholly at peace inside of us is that peace that passes all understanding, and all we have to do is align with it. And happily I share that will which you, my Father, gave as part of me. Yes, Father, I'm going to finally let myself receive what you gave to me to begin with. Instead of resisting it and doing it all by myself, my own way, I'm going to let you carry me because you want to. And I would love receiving that benevolent power that is going to allow me to have a fun and easy life. Why? Because our purpose is to be happy. That's what the Course in Miracles teaches us. If we're not experiencing happiness, it's because we're trying to do things all by ourselves. And if we do that, we're not letting the way be safe and sure as our Father already willed. So we contradict God's will for our joy when we try to do it by ourselves with our egoic thinking. That it's always going to be about striving, about becoming, versus God's knowingness that it is about just being what we already are as God created us. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you in the next lesson.